Hey Mishka, today is December 3rd, 2017, and as you can imagine, I've not been out of my house all day because the lift is still out in my building, which is great. I feel like I'm going back in time to British Airways and London City Airport all the time. Where I make videos about discrimination and structural inequality and systematic violence. That's what we're going to talk about today. Systematic violence and how a lift that is not being repaired is actually a form of violence against people with disabilities. I wanted to write an essay on Medium about this, but I'm just too tired to do it tonight. So I will write an essay about this later in the week. But I wanted to talk to you about it first, because that's the most important thing. So, when we talk about violence, more often than not, we use violence as a word when we actually mean physical violence or physical harm. So we think of violence against women as being about rape or domestic abuse or hitting or punching or killing in extreme examples. And yeah, all of those are violence. But violence is an active force against someone. And I think it's important that often when we talk about violence, it's not just physical violence. There's structural violence, which people who are smarter than myself have written about. A woman named Vandy Lee, and I'm quoting because, like I said, she's way smarter than myself, says that structural violence, quote, refers to the avoidable limitation society places on a group of people that constrain them from achieving a quality of life that would have otherwise been possible. These limitations can be political, economic, religious, cultural, or legal in nature, and they usually originate in institutions that have authority over particular subjects. End of my quote. Violence, the best definition of violence, comes from PBS's Idea Channel. And it is an episode that you can see on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description below. It defines violence as a removal of choice, so that someone is forced to act in a way that they would normally not choose to do because another entity has removed that choice and that autonomy from them. And that's what I'm facing this week, is that the past 6 days when I've been without a lift, I've been forced to make options and choices that I would not normally do. So I was forced to miss a job interview because I couldn't get downstairs, and more importantly, I couldn't get upstairs. I was forced to stay inside all day. I was forced not to go to Tesco's myself. I was forced to make changes in my livelihood because I could not get out. I was forced to not speak at a public engagement on behalf of the Women's Equality Party. These are not my choices. The idea that I can't get in and out of my building freely is not only inconvenient, it is a life-altering situation for someone with a disability, or someone that is old, or someone that has a child, or someone that doesn't want to take the stairs. And it forces me to make choices that I don't want to make. A broken lift, after a certain point, when I think that point is within 12 to 24 hours, after a point, it is no longer an inconvenience. It is an act of violence. And it's funny, because today is supposed to be International Persons with Disability Day, or International Day of Disabled People, or something like that, brought on by the UN, which is great, but I'm stuck at home in my flat because someone is committing violence and not allowing me to make the choices that I would normally make. Someone is forcing me to change my behavior, whether or not based on whether or not they do their job. And that's problematic. Deeply, deeply problematic. And again, I am holding the property management agency to account, because I pay management and maintenance fees every month, and I am paying the lift company to account. I am calling the lift company to account. I am calling them to account because this is happening all over the UK time and time again. I cannot tell you, as a disabled person, how often we hear, yeah, we have a lift, but it's not working because they had to order a part. Lift companies need to get their shit together. End of story. Because in letting these, just do a Google search. There are care homes that are without lifts in Kent for 10 weeks. There are, hospitals where lifts have problems. Lifts shockingly go out at an alarmingly fast rate. And this forces life changes that no one wants to make. To wait for a part is an act of violence. And disabled people need to go out. We do have jobs. We do have lives. We do have families to take care of. And to let this saunter on and wait for a part is just absurd and inhumane. Lifts are one of the few things that level out the world for people with special needs. It is a medical piece of equipment. A lift is not a luxury. And companies like Stana and Guinness Homeowners Association need to get that through their heads immediately. That's all I've got.